Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make the Jagged Crochet Beanie. And what I used, the supplies you'll need is worsted weight yarn. That's what I used to get this size. It's 4-ply for the US, 10-ply for Australia. And I used a size H hook or a size 5mm hook. Okay, for this design, I went ahead and I made 3 sizes. This is toddler, and this is child, and this is adult. And I tried to make it to where you'd have the same 4 rows of completed jagged stitch for all of them. I tried child and adult, and they're the same size. Child's fit without stretching, and then the adults can still fit the same size, and then it just stretches a little bit because acrylic is really stretchy like that. So I kind of put the child and the adult in the same category, and I have a toddler size. And I'll tell you when to stop increasing when you reach those 2 sizes. So for the purposes of this tutorial only, I'm going to be using this thicker, chunkier yarn just so that you can see my stitches a lot easier. But again, I want to remind you, use worsted weight yarn for this particular size hat. Okay, to start, you want to make your slip knot, and you want to chain 3. Then you're going to slip stitch in this beginning chain to form a ring. Then for round 1, you'll chain 2, and then you want to double crochet 12 into this center ring. Okay, you want to do 12 double crochets worked in your center ring, and you won't be using the beginning chain 2 to end your round. You're going to be skipping that beginning chain and slip stitching into the very first double crochet, and that will end round 1. So for round 2, you want to start off like always. You'll always chain 2. And then in that same stitch that you slip stitch into, you want to put 2 double crochets into that first stitch. And then you want to continue that, and you want to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And in all the stitches around, put 2 double crochets in each one of your stitches. You're doubling your stitch count this time. At the end of this round, you should have 24 stitches. Okay, for the end of round 2, again, you'll skip that beginning chain 2, and you'll use the very first double crochet of your round to slip stitch into, and that will end round 2. So for round 3, you want to chain 2 and double crochet 2 more times in that beginning stitch, just like you did last round. But this time, the next stitch will only have 1 double crochet. So that'll be our repeat for the round. The next stitch you'll put 2 double crochets, and then the next stitch after that you'll only put 1 double crochet, and then you repeat that for the round. 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet. Repeat that all the way around, and at the end of the round you should have 36 stitches. Okay, at the end of your round 3, make sure you count your stitches. Remember, the beginning chain 2 does not count in that equation. So starting from your first double crochet all the way to your last double crochet, you should have 36 stitches, and also you should end on a single double crochet. So you'll have 2 double crochets here, and then you'll end on a single double crochet. And when you do, and you've counted your stitches, skip that beginning chain 2, slip stitch in the first double crochet of your round, and that will end round 3. So for round 4, let me tighten that up a little bit. So for round 4, and this after round 4, you'll stop increasing if you're making a toddler size hat. So for round 4, we'll chain 2 and then double crochet twice in this very first double crochet, and then you want to double crochet 1 and the next 2 stitches. So 1 double crochet here, 1 double crochet here. And then you'll repeat that for the whole round. So your next stitch will be 2 double crochets worked in the same stitch, and then the next 2 stitches you'll put 1 double crochet and then 1 double crochet in the next. So repeat that for the round, putting 2 double crochets in the next stitch and then 1 double crochet worked in the next 2 stitches after that. So repeat that for the round, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, at the end of this round you should have 48 stitches. So we're going to end with our increase and then our single double, 1 double crochet here, 1 double crochet here, and I'm going to slip stitch in my first double crochet. Then chain 2, and this will be the last increase for the adult size and child size. So you want to put 2 double crochets in the very first stitch, unless you want to try the invisible join or connection, which I recommend you trying that out. So for the very last row of increases, we'll have 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then in the following 3 stitches we're going to have a single double crochet, and then in the next we'll start our repeat and put 2, and then the following 3 will also be 1 double crochet. So we did our 2 double crochets worked in the first stitch. So now we're going to put 1 double crochet worked in the next 3 stitches. So you have your increase followed by 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then you'll repeat that for the round. You'll put 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then you'll put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And repeat this for the round, and at the end of this round you should have a total of 60 stitches. Okay, so I got done with my repeat and I counted my round, and I have 60 stitches. Again, skip that beginning chain 2 and slip stitch in that beginning double crochet. Now for round 6, which is going to be our jagged stitch row, you want to chain 2, and you'll never use the chain 2 space to create your first jagged stitch of your round. You'll always use the very first double crochet of your round. The jagged crochet stitch takes up 2 stitches, so we'll be using these 2 double crochets. So you want to yarn over and pick up the post of the very first of these 2 double crochets, and you'll pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook. You'll yarn over, only pull through 2, then don't complete, and you don't also want to grab up more yarn. You just want to insert your hook directly into this next stitch, the second stitch here, pull up a loop, and now you want to complete your 3 loops on your row just like a double crochet. So you'll yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then very important, you want to chain 1 at the end. So these 2 have now been used, so we're going to move over now to our next 2 stitches. So yarn over, pick up the post of that first double crochet, and then pull up a loop. Then you'll yarn over, only pull through 2, leaving the last 2 on your hook, and without yarning over, just insert into the very next stitch, pull up a loop, and then now you'll complete that just like you would a double crochet. But make sure that you chain 1 at the end. Now again, we'll skip over. I was going to tell you a tip, but you can't really see it yet, so let's just keep going. So you don't, without skipping a stitch, because this is part of the jagged stitch, you'll be skipping no stitches after the jagged stitch. It's worked, you know, in each stitch. There's no skipping. So find your next 2 double crochets. As you can see, this one has the second part of the jagged stitch worked into it, so that's not the next. These 2. So yarn over, grab up the post of the first, then yarn over, pull through only 2, leaving 2 loops on your hook. Insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop. yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and chain 1. Then we'll do that again. Move on over to our next set of 2 double crochets, and you will work your jagged stitch on that one. Now you can see sort of now that since we're working with the post on the first part of the jagged stitch and then in the actual stitch of the next double crochet, it's kind of creating this push forward effect. It'll help you find when your next double crochet is here, because you know that you're going to be using every other post to start your jagged stitch. So you take up the post on the next stitch to start your jagged stitch, and then insert it in the next, complete it. You'll continue to do this all the way around, and because you have even stitches here, you should end evenly, perfectly, and using the last 2 double crochets of your round. Okay, after you completed your last jagged stitch and chain to 1, you want to skip that first chain 2 at the beginning and find that first part, first double crochet of the jagged stitch, and slip stitch into that stitch, and that will end round 6. So for round 7, which is the prep row to the jagged stitch, it takes really 2 rows and 2 stitches to create. So this next row will be a prep row. So chain 2, and you want to take a look at your jagged stitches, see how they have these clear chain 1 spaces and then the 1 stitch of the jagged. When you come up to the actual jagged stitch here, when you come up to a jagged stitch, which will be our very first stitch, you'll want to put only in the back loop. So you want to leave this front loop alone, and only in that back loop here you want to put a double crochet. So you'll put a double crochet in the back loop only of that very first stitch that you ended your row with. So you slip stitched in here, you chain 2, and then you put a double crochet worked in the back loop only. Then we'll move over to the chain 1 space and just insert your hook in that whole space right there underneath the chain, and then do a double crochet in that as well. And then you repeat that for the round. So we're coming up again to our stitch, which is the jagged stitch part, and we'll work a double crochet in that back loop only. And then we come up to the chain 1 space, which we'll just put a double crochet in, and then again the next stitch you'll put a double crochet worked in the back loop only, and then in the chain 1 space you'll put a double crochet, and then back loop only, and then chain 1 space you'll put a full double crochet, and you'll continue that all the way around, and I'll see you when you get to the end of the round. Okay, I'm finishing up on row 7. So I have my double crochet worked in the back loop only, and then my final space, which is my chain 1 space, put a double crochet there. And then you want to end by skipping the step up here, the chain 2, and you want to slip stitch in the beginning double crochet, and that ends round 7. So for round 8, which is going to be a jagged stitch row, which we're going to be working on our double crochets in the previous round now. So as always, you'll chain 2 to begin, and then not using the chain 2 but the very first double crochet of your round, pick up the post, then you'll only pull through 2, leaving 2, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. So again, you'll be working your jagged crochet stitches just like you did. This is basically a repeat of row 6. And it's going to be pretty easy to see how it completely takes over the double crochet row. This is a double crochet row, looks very different than the jagged stitch. You can see how I say it's a prep row, because once you do the jagged stitch on it, it disappears and just becomes another row of jagged stitch. And this is the repeat that you'll be doing. You'll be doing rounds 5 and 6. No, I'm sorry, 6, round 6. Yeah, round 6 and 7. You repeat it until you have a total of 4 completed rows of jagged stitch. And this one, 1, 2, 3, yeah. 4 completed rows, and you get to round 13. I'll see you back here. Oh, just a tip real quick. Your jagged stitches should always be aligned. See how they line up? And to make sure that you know which one that you should be grabbing, we did our double crochet, worked in our full, chain 1 space. So that's our full double crochet. And then the next one is kind of pushed back some because we worked in the back loop only, and you can see the little unused front loop here. When you start your jagged stitch, you grab up a post. You want to make sure the post that you grab is one that's back a little, the one that you worked in the back loop only, and you can see the front. So you'll be grabbing up the post of the pushed back one, I guess if you want to call it that, to start. And then you'll be inserting your hook into the full stitch of the double crochet. That's the full stitch. That's hard to think and do it at the same time sometimes. So when you're looking for your next stitch, you know that it's going to be one that's kind of pushed back a little. Pick that one up by the post, and then you'll finish it inside a full double crochet. I hope that makes sense. I'm just finishing my last jagged stitch of the row, my round. Skip the beginning chain 2, slip stitch in the beginning. So in the pattern, even though row 6 is going to be a repeat, it's a jagged stitch row, I'm going to go ahead just to make it simpler and make the repeats for row 7 and 8. So those last 2 rounds that we just did will be the repeat. So back up to round 7 and repeat round 7 and 8 2 more times. 2 more times, and then I will see you back here when you reach round 13. So for round 13, go ahead and chain 2, and then let's do another round of double crochets like we did before. So we're going to use the back loop only of the next stitch, and then we're going to put a double crochet in our chain 1 space. So we'll be doing just like we did in round 8. Now this double crochet row that we're doing, it can be optional because you could just go right into single crochets if you want to, but I really like the look of just having that double crochet row here, kind of like an in between the jagged to the single crochet. And as you can see, I wanted you to see in the other colors, just so you have an idea of what this last double crochet row looks like, so you can better make a decision whether you want to have this last row of double crochets before we get into the rim. Okay, I came to the end of round 13, and I'm going to slip stitch in the beginning, I'll try to anyway, the beginning double crochet. Now we're ready for our rim part of our hat, which is going to be 3 rows of single crochets. You can make this longer if you like, but I just did 3 rows, 3 rounds, and it seemed to help. I mean, it seemed to be big enough for my hat. So because we're doing single crochets, you only want to chain 1 and then go back into that same stitch and do your single crochet. And I went under both loops, so they're just regular single crochets. And at the end of the round, I just slip stitched into the beginning single crochet, unless you want to place a marker here at the very beginning, and then make it easier with dot a seam to just put one single crochet in all your stitches, and you should have 60 stitches unless you're doing a toddler size, and you should have 48 stitches for toddler size. So continue to do that for the next 3 rounds. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please don't forget to like and share and comment down below. It helps me out so much. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the newest tutorials and the newest patterns and anything that may have changed going on with me, then you can sign up for my newsletter and I'll always keep you informed. Also, I have a patron page, and I have 3 tiers, different tiers on there. Please go there, check it out. I hope I'll see you over there. Also, I'm really active on Facebook. I have a couple of Facebook groups and my Facebook business page. It's also links down below. I also have a Pinterest where only free crochet patterns are shared. It's a group, so you can check it out on Pinterest as well. And if you're a designer, feel free to sign up and share your stuff there as well. So that's it, guys. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye.